Good morning. Hi. I'm live here. I'm sorry I'm late. I had trouble connecting to the internet this morning, but I got tech support. He helped me figure it out. So here we are. We're ready for Wednesday morning's 60-minute Bikram series, one time each of the 26 postures. We're starting about 10 minutes late, which if you're joining later may not affect you. But for those of you who are hopping on now, thank you for your patience. Sorry about this. And yeah, I'm ready to get started if you are. So here we go. May 27th, we're nearing the end of the month here. Wednesday, I will be back on Friday for Vinyasa. So let's prepare ourselves for these 26 postures that we've been working on for how long, you guys? Over 2 months now, as we shelter in place in California, and you are taking on your own version across the country, wherever you are, of shelter in place, quarantine, stay at home, stop the spread, right? So thanks for joining me. This is good for us. It's nice that we're doing it together. Let's prepare for our first posture here, Tadasana, by grounding down in our feet together, toes spread. Sink into your feet and really feel them under you in a way that is a little more with more intention and awareness than we normally give our feet during the day. So feel that. Feel the energy in your legs. I always have to do a bit of rocking back and forth, especially to make sure that I have shifted my weight to be over my heels. And it's nice to find the counterbalance rocking forward over the toes and feel it as I shift my weight through the balls of my feet and finally over my heels, and then side to side a bit too. Just making sure I'm centered. Give those glutes a squeeze, activate them, fire them up. We're going to use our glutes a lot, and we want to make sure we know where they are and that we can turn them on. Bend the knees out a bit. Feel that stretch all the way down your back half, through the back of the ankle and the Achilles. Roll the neck out and the shoulders. Just kind of get a sense of where you are this morning. All of these dusty corners in the body. Just take some deep breaths. Stand in place. Get all these wiggles and adjustments out now, because whenever we come back to Tadasana and the sense of awareness in Tadasana that I refer to as Samastitihi, a concentrated awareness, rolling the shoulders back, palms forward. We want to practice stillness whenever we end up here between postures. So get the wiggles out now and just take some breaths. Let's cross our fingers, press the webbing of the fingers together nice and tight. Take a nice tight grip, and then tuck your hands under your chin and the knuckles of the thumbs press against the neck. Keep the shoulders relaxed here, belly pulled in, and your glutes strong. And let's inhale here together. And exhale. Open mouth exhale. Make it really audible. Let yourself hear it. Inhale. Open mouth exhale. Now let's bring the arms into this. Inhale, elbows up to the ceiling. Shoulders relaxed, just elbows up. Exhale, open mouth. Press the chin back as you gaze up towards the ceiling. Elbows wrap around to touch in front. Inhale, drop the shoulders, belly strong, elbows up to the ceiling. Exhale, open mouth. Chin back, elbows come around to the front. Inhale here. Elbows up, spine straight, belly strong. Exhale, open mouth. Now let's cross the grip of our fingers to have the opposite grip, and then inhale. Same thing, just with the opposite grip of the fingers. Just change things up. Exhale. Inhale. Chin is level, jaw relax. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Drop the back of the head. Keep the spine straight. This isn't a back bend. Inhale. Hi, Betty. Exhale. Last one, inhale, make this your deepest one yet. As soon as you think you've filled up with as much air as you can get in, sip in just a little more. Exhale, let it all go. And again, as soon as you think you've let all the air go, find a little more in the pit of the belly and push it out. Change, drop the arms to the side, Samastitihi. Take a breath here, and then give the knees a little bend. As you reverse swan dive, arms up, we'll prepare for half moon. First, take a few moments, side to side, back to front, front to back. Maybe bend the knees if you want and come all the way down into a squat. Prepare for the forward fold we're going to take. I always have some popping and cracking in my joints as I prepare for all of this. All right, arms overhead. We're going to do steeple grip. So interlace the fingers, release the index fingers. Step back a bit to see if you can see my fingers in the screen there. So legs are together, strong and straight, belly in, and arms are engaged. Biceps frame the ears, but just keep in mind to relax the shoulders as much as possible. Even as arms are engaged and chest is lifted, try to let those shoulders relax away from your ears. Inhale here and lengthen out of the waist with your inhale. Exhale, bend to the right. Keep hips, shoulders square to the screen. Used to say square to the mirror in front of you. Now it's square to the screen. And push your hips out in the opposite direction. So really be mindful about those hips. Think of those more. A lot of times when we think of side stretch, we think of our upper body stretching up, falling over. But let's think about the lower body right now, beginning with the waist and hips, pushing out to that other side. So if you concentrate on pushing out the hips, you feel that side stretch in an area that we don't often pay attention to, which is where the waist and hips meet on the side. Feel that stretch there. And we hold here for a while. So if you've come too low and you need to back out of it, that's fine. Do it on an inhale. Lift back out of it a bit, and then on exhale, you'll find you could go just a bit farther. We're going to make the shape of a crescent moon here with our bodies. This is half moon pose to the right. Okay, now we're headed to the end of the hold, so really give it your all. Last bit of stretch here. Find your comfortable edge, and then change. Inhale all the way up. Again, inhale out of the waist, lift out of the waist while keeping your belly strong so that you don't pop it out like I've just done. You keep it strong and keep that pelvis tucked just a bit to keep everything square to the front. And now we fold over to the other side. And just like before, shoulders, hips square to the screen. And if it helps, think about those hips pushing out and feeling that tremendous stretch where your waist and hips meet, and the side of your body where we don't always pay a lot of attention. We focus on our bellies or core a lot and our backs, but not often the side body. So this is a really good chance to think about it and give it some attention. And again, if you dipped in too low to be able to hold it this long, come on out with an inhale just a bit. And then an exhale helps you go a little deeper. And you just keep working that, feeling that stretch in the side body I like to pedal out the legs and kind of notice where the weight shifts. Now let's find that edge, the soft edge here, where you can go, and then change. Come on up. Take a nice deep breath. And then on the inhale, we're gonna re-engage, recommit to those engaged arms. Lift the chest, lift the gaze towards the ceiling, push the hips forward. And we're headed into a back bend now. If you wanna keep your neck nice and protected, feel those biceps frame the ears and keep your head and arms together like one unit. If you'd like to let the neck go, let your head drop back, all the way back to see the wall behind you. Push forward with the hips, reach and lift with the arms, drop the head back, fall back a bit. Weight is in the heels, and change. With arms still engaged, bend your knees and come into your first forward fold of the day. I'm gonna grab my blocks and just find a halfway point in that forward fold. So you can either stay halfway with arms framing the ears, which really helps keep the core turned on, or if you wanna do what I'm doing, you can relax the hands down and find the blocks, pedal out the legs. My first forward fold of the morning, so I'm not gonna just dive right into it. I really need to pedal out the legs, move the hips back and forth, side to side. And once you've kind of loosened up at the legs there, really pull the belly in this halfway point. Pull the belly in and bend the knees enough that you can lay your belly and chest on your upper thighs. So belly, chest on upper thighs. The knees can be as bent as you need them to be, which includes kind of more of a squat all the way down. And then from this position, just think of lifting those hips towards the ceiling. Belly stay glued to thigh. Lift the hips towards the ceiling and let your head and neck hang heavy. You can let your arms rest on those blocks. You can let them rest on the floor in front of you, in front of your feet. Pet your cat if she's walking by. And then you can wrap your hands around the back of your legs, either slide them down your calves, your ankles, or even your heels if you want to step your heels on your palms with pinkies turned together. So find your fold, and we hold this for a while. Make the adjustments. Let yourself be in a comfortable enough position that you can hold it. And just breathe. Keep your eyes open. Gaze is either at the floor or the wall behind you between your calves. And change. As you change, find that halfway lift and really be mindful of holding that with arms engaged as you come up, because that really is a nice core workout in addition to being that fold. So lower the arms. Relax here, Samastitihi. Just take a breath. And we move into Utkatasana, awkward pose. So inhale, arms up. The fingers are together, making something like blades with your hands. And if you're able to see, and you were able to see a mirror, yourself in a mirror in front of you, it would look as if your palms are resting on your shoulders in the mirror in front of you. So you want them straight out from your shoulders. Inhale here to prepare. Exhale, sit back in the chair, push your butt back as your arms still reach forward like opposite forces, pulling you forward with your arms, back with your butt. Pull your belly in strong, drop the shoulders away from the ears, and take a peek down at your toes that you can still see them, that your knees have not gone past your toes. Give them a wiggle to make sure your weight is in your heels and the ball of your feet. All right, let's push it a little more. Go as deep into that chair as you can. Feel how strong those legs are, and then inhale all the way up onto tiptoes. Arms stay engaged this whole time. So this is part 2 of 3 in Utkatasana. Arms are engaged that whole time. Okay, we're high on our toes here. High on the toes. Get those heels as high as you can and feel the opening and stretch in the front ankles. And if you have this balance, which you can gain by focusing on one spot in front of you with your gaze, you can begin to bend the knees and sit back in that chair once more. keeping the heels lifted as high as you can off the ground, off the mat. Come down, legs strong, arms engaged. Play with this balance. If you do not want to come down and just hang with heels high this morning, that's fine. Okay, let it go. Drop the heels now all the way. Wiggle out those toes. They did a lot of work there. Arms have stayed engaged, right? Belly is strong. Lift the heels 1 inch off the mat. Bring the knees together. Zip up that space between your inner thighs so feel them connect towards one another and turn on. Heels are lifted 1 inch off the mat. Slide straight down now. Straight down like the back. You're sliding down the back wall. Okay. Good, good, good. Feel this burn. Don't let your butt drop all the way to your heels because then you're resting. So if you find yourself go all the way down and rest, come back up like an inch. Maybe even give yourself an up and down, strengthening those legs. Change, come all the way up with control and then all the way down with an exhale. Let everything go. Samastitihi. We stand into Tadasana here and take a breath. Okay, let's move into eagle. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bring the right arm under the left. Give yourself a little hug. I'm going to twist it out a bit at the waist here this morning too. And then stay right here with arms crossed over one another in the hug. Or if you want to take your arms and begin to wrap them together like ropes here, do so. As always, we want shoulders dropped away from the ears. The elbows can lift for a moment just to feel a nice shoulder stretch. But eventually, or with the next breath, bring them in. Think of them being in one line, elbows all the way up to fingertips in one line, down and centered towards your middle, the midpoint of your core. Just think of concentrating all parts of your body there now as you sit back, elbows tucked in, pulled into the middle, right knee lifts. It will also think of bringing it to the middle under the elbows and cross it over the left. So you're balancing on your left foot now, strong left foot. If you need to drop the right toes to find that balance, do so. Lower down in your chair. And when you want to pick the toes back up, you can play with this by dropping the toes and lifting them back up. You can also lift them all the way. And as long as hips are square and knees can stand or elbows, you can begin to coax those right toes behind the left calf. So breathe here, find your eagle. Find some stillness, even in the little adjustments. And then change. Come on out of it. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, left arm under right this time. Little hug, little twist it out. Wrap those arms if that's the rest of the pose you like to take there. Otherwise, just stay right here. And again, like I did on the other side, I'm going to lift the elbows this morning pretty high to feel that opening in my shoulders. And it is a really nice juxtaposition between the final part of this expression where I keep those elbows pulled and tucked in and one straight line between elbows and fingertips as I sit back. Now you are balancing on your right foot. As the left knee lifts, you can maybe try to touch elbow to knee. Keep that knee in one line under your elbows, hips square, shoulders square to the front. And then sit back in your chair. You can drop the right toes for balance. If you're working on balance, try that lift and drop, lift and drop. If you take the twist further, begin to coax those right toes behind the left calf. But if that causes your hips to swing out to the side or your knees, you're not quite there yet. I'm really not quite there these days. So I just try to keep that toe lifted and sit low in the chair with knees under elbows. Okay, let it go. That is a lot of work. Inhale up, exhale down, and we're already done with those first 4 warm-up poses. So take a drink of water and then we'll move into the next. All right. Great to have all of you this morning. I hope everyone had a great 3-day weekend. I know we did. We didn't go anywhere, but the weather's been good. We've been outside a lot and taking advantage of it because the rain is supposed to come in a few days. So just felt really good to have a 3-day weekend, feel like something different was happening, even with canceled travel plans. Okay. So we're headed into standing head to knee. I'm going to do something a little different today. I think I'm going to switch up. We normally always begin by balancing on the left leg and inhaling right leg up for the next couple postures. I'm going to switch it this morning. So we're going to just switch which side of our legs, which legs we're doing, which side we're stretching first for a change. So we are going to focus right now on standing on the right leg. And we're going to lift the left leg. So I don't know if you're just joining and you're thinking, wow, that's her version of crazy. It kind of is, especially in Bikram, because they are typically, that practice is usually, part of the beauty of it is that it never ever changes. And so this would be a shocker to some people that we are starting on grounding in the right leg, lifting the left, and just stay here balancing on one foot. Right here with palms to the side, just breathe and focus on one spot in front of you. My knee is at the same height as my hip crease, so 90-degree angle there and where the knee bends. Stay right here. You can flex the left foot and wiggle it out. Feel some ankle mobility there. And if you want to join me in a little further, again, grounding down on the right leg. Inhale out of the waist. Exhale, fold over that left hip crease, shoulders square to the front, and find a grip along your calf, your ankle, or your foot. And the more you suck the belly in, the more room you give yourself to round out over that lifted leg. So gaze is soft in front of you, eyes straight ahead, and if you can, take a basket weave grip under your foot. I'm going to stay right here today. Breathe here. And change wherever you are with control. Go ahead, lower that leg. Now we're going to focus on standing in the left. So when I say focus on that standing leg, I really mean especially starting at the foot itself, spreading the toes as much as possible, feeling where each toe connects with the mat, the weight being evenly distributed between what we call the 4 corners of your feet, 2 outside corners in your heel and 2 corners at the ball of your foot where your toe joints meet the base of your foot. Feel all of that connecting with the mat. Inhale, right leg up this time. Feel free to stay right here. And because I did it on the other side, I'm gonna just bring that knee out. It's a bit of a hip opener there. But you're gonna stay right here. You can just play around with your ankle. If you wanna keep going with me, inhale out of the waist, creates a little extra room for you to exhale, pull the belly in as you round over that lifted leg and find your grip along the calf, ankle. Go to the bottom of your foot. If you can, find a basket weave grip. I'm staying right here today. If you like to take it further and straighten the leg in your hands, inhale up and then push that heel like it's sliding across a table in front of you. And just breathe wherever you are. Just maintaining a balanced posture like this is great core work. Change. So we'll come out to each stage and lower that leg. Okay, let's move on to dancer. Again, we're gonna go opposite today. It's opposite day. So ground down in the right foot this time instead of the left. You can stay facing the screen if you want. I often turn to the side so that you can see what it looks like from the side, and drop the left arm down by your side to be ready to receive that left foot. So we're balanced on one leg. I like to open up at the psoas here. My glutes are engaged, and psoas is opening when I swing that leg around and then receive the foot. Okay, so your gaze is straight ahead. Your body will go where your eyes go, so do not look down. Just stay nice and even with the eyes. Inhale, right arm up, and then just work on kicking the left foot into the left hand. And as you're comfortable and ready and steady, let that kick lift your legs and hands towards the ceiling as your upper body comes down. Ooh, I'm letting that go. Betty threw me off a little. Nothing like a cat feeling her oats to challenge the balance. I'm going to stop mid-posture, take a sip. We're going to turn to the other side now. Prepare to balance on that left foot. And something about dancer here. It's a beautiful pose, and it's one that so many of us aspire to reach in its full, beautiful form. However, it is so challenging also, and we take for granted, I think, sometimes how challenging it can be, especially when we want to focus on keeping hips square to the mat. So in this particular version of dancer, you don't want to let those hips open up, even if it allows you to reach that peak posture a little easier. Try keeping them square. For those who really find this to be the challenge it truly is, you can always work on simply standing on the one leg, dropping your hand to the side there. And if you want, just work on, with hips square, moving the standing leg back and forth, activating the glute, which opens the psoas, and this posture right here is what prepares you for the rest of dancer. Staying right here, so you can just simply stay here. Don't even bring the foot up to the hand. Inhale, left arm up. For those of you who do want to keep moving, we are really strong and sturdy in that standing foot, just like the other side. Receive the right foot in the right hand, and work on that back and forth movement with hips square. Glutes are engaged as your foot kicks back in your hand. And when you're prepared to keep going, let the lift of the foot bring down the upper body. Steady gaze straight in front of you. And change. Come on out of it. Good one for me this morning. They change every day. Sometimes I just want to stay straight up. Sometimes I'm ready to keep going into that full expression. Depends on so much. And depends on whether or not there's a cat running around crazy. Okay, balance and stick. So come to the back of your mat, face the front. Inhale, arms up. Okay, core is strong. Belly is engaged and lifted. Instead of standing on the left foot today, we're going to step forward on the right. Crazy, I know. And then just slowly lift off those left toes as you're standing on that strong, planted right leg, and begin to lift the back foot as you lower upper body. So if you stay right here with arms overhead, biceps framing ears, and you have one line from your fingers to your toes, this is balancing stick. The only thing that changes is that if you want to come up off your toes, that straight line begins to hinge down with the standing right leg. You hinge at the hips, hips square, and as you lift the back toes, I lengthen the fingertips, one straight line. Gaze begins to lower down to the floor just a bit so that it's at like the edge of your mat where your mat reaches the floor. Stretch it out. Find your point, and then let it go. Bring the right foot back, step forward on the left. Switch the cross of your hands right now, so steeple grip. I forgot to mention that before. Steeple grip in the hands, switch which one is crossed over the other. Strong standing left foot, and you can stay right here for balancing stick. Just high up on your back toes, one straight line from fingers to toes. Or you can begin to lift the heel as the upper body lowers down, belly is strong, hips are square. Find your edge wherever that may be and feel that straight line of energy radiate from fingertips to toes. Change. You know, as you can see, it's a little harder on that side for me this morning. And by the way, take a water break. We're gonna turn around and to the front of the mat to face the screen for the next posture. But it just reminded me that I've seen myself. I go back and edit the videos and see myself, and I sometimes feel self-conscious about, you know, falling out of a posture or being wobbly or not being especially open one particular morning or another. And then remember to tell you and myself that so many of the postures we see on Instagram and Yoga Journal and on websites that look so beautiful and perfect, I mean, we're seeing that snapshot with lighting and photography and all the things that go into that particular still shot without the challenges that came before it, the wobbling of the posture and this having to stretch it out and trying to hit it 5 times before we nail it. That's what you don't see, and that's what I don't see in those still images. And yeah, it's just a good reminder that like we're all human, and that's just a snapshot of all the work that's the result of all the work and struggle and challenge and giving up and then putting it in again that came before it. And I don't know, it's just a really good metaphor for life. Whenever, you know, we find ourselves comparing our lives to someone else, especially in this day and age of the internet and social media, that sometimes we only see like the final snapshot. I think of it for writers too, because that published end result you see, whether it's a book or an article or an essay or a poem, doesn't show you everything that came before it, which was a lot of work and a lot of hardship. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'll keep it in mind, especially when I notice that I'm wobbling around on a live stream or video, and it is what it is. So, all right, let's move into separate leg stretching, standing separate leg stretching, AKA hamstring stretch, and a time to really work on our hip hinge. So feet together at the top of the mat, facing the front. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, as you step your arms out to a T, also step your legs apart, give them one leg length apart or so, arms out to a T. Warm up here by bending one knee and then the other. And if it helps your hip hinge, if you're working on your hip hinge and it helps to actually find that spot where you can feel the hinge, go ahead and bring your arms down from the T. It's not your natural waist here. Your natural waist is up high. You're going to lower your hands down to where your hips meet your pelvis. So feel that it angles down at the groin, and then feel your booty go back as the crease begins to be created there with the booty sent back. You can also have the arms to the T. That really helps the core. Anytime arms are engaged in any kind of fold, it turns our core on, gives us a little extra to hold up with the core. So whatever way you like to do it, find your halfway point. You can bend the knees back and forth again. I had just moved my blocks away, but you certainly can have them right here. It's another great place to rest halfway on the blocks. If you want to keep going when you're in this halfway point and spine is straight, if you can see me, spine is straight, right? Then I can go ahead and lower some more, spine straight, hips lift to the ceiling, my gaze begins to go down to the floor. Bend the knees as much as you need to. I begin to really have to bend when I've reached about 3/4 of the way down, I really bend those knees to keep the spine straight and hips continuing to lift towards the ceiling. So just breathe here, figure out what works for you. Really feels good in that deep bend to have the legs go back and forth. You feel that stretch in the inner thighs. And as you move your way down even more, let the head and neck go. Eventually, the crown of the head will make its way down to the floor between your legs, and your gaze goes behind you. If you're not there, no worries. I just say that to let you know kind of the direction. Sometimes it can help with some micro adjustments you make to know the direction this pose is going. And then let those hands just find a grip along your legs on the outside, whether it's your upper thighs, your calves, let them find a grip and pull your upper body down towards the floor as your hips lift towards the ceiling. You can even grip around those outside of the feet if you want. Okay, change. We come up to halfway for a core work. Bring arms out to the side and use your core to lift that all up. In one motion, if you can, come everything together at the top of the mat. Arms lifted. Exhale, let it go. Okay, moving into triangle. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, step those legs apart. Again, once more, just like we were. The difference here is we're going to spin on the right heel, bend that right knee. So right knee bent, left leg strong and straight with toes pointing towards the screen or straight in front of you. Stay right here. If your stance is not as wide as mine and it's more like you've stepped out just with feet not very far apart, something more like this. This is fine. Knee just needs to be over ankle, and arms, it's arm workout to keep them strong and engaged. So your stance is going to look different than everyone else's. It's going to look different than mine, but find what is comfortable. Make sure your upper body is square over your hips, and those legs are strong, both of them, strong standing legs with the right hip opening up, right knee opening up. Tick-tock the arms at 6 and 12 if you'd like. And then if you want to keep going into a further expression, bring the right arm out, coax that right knee over right toes as your left side body sinks down. And then finally, with that left arm lifted, you still let the side body sink. It's a kind of pulling apart around the armpit, arm lifted while everything else is softening down. And turn and look at that lifted left thumb if you'd like. And just breathe here for a moment. Contract your legs together like they're squeezing a beach ball, a huge beach ball. So feel that and feel a lift in your upper body. There you go. Okay, let it go. Arms come out to the T. Now both toes are facing square to the screen. I'm going to spin on the opposite leg now, left leg. Sink down. Remember, if rather than what I'm doing, your posture looks more like this, that's fine. All right, just find what works for you. And the only benefit I can think of not being in a studio together, because I love it, is that no one is here to judge you. You aren't here to judge anyone else. You can't see what anyone else is doing. So embrace that for now. Don't worry about it. Okay, so find that foundation in triangle and stay here, or keep going by tick-tocking the arms. Bring the left hand out, coax open that knee. Take a glance down at your strong, straight right leg. Energy radiates all the way from the hip here, really from the entire side body, beginning of the armpit, all the way down to that blade of your right foot. So stay here or begin to sink, let gravity pull side body down. Turn and look at the right lifted thumb. Take a breath in your final expression and really squeeze the ball together between your legs. Lift at the arm, lower along the side body, and change. Come back to the T. Inhale everything together. Exhale, arms to your side. Going right into separate leg standing, head to knee. I'm running way over time today. I started way late and I'm going to go over mentioning that because I see quite a few people have hopped on. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, step them apart a little less far apart than they were before. So with everything facing the screen right now, take it all and shift it over to the side of your mat. Turn everything to the side. Your left back leg may be more at a 45-degree angle, but everything else is square to the side. Legs can be as far apart as you need them to be. At least maybe they look like they're on parallel train tracks with one another though. So they're not lined up in any kind of straight line. They are at least hip width apart. Inhale, arms overhead. Take a prayer grip. So hands in prayer, but just cross one thumb over the other. I can see myself in my screen and see that I'm sticking my belly out, which means I'm arching the lower back. I'm going to pull the belly in, keep it strong as I lower down. Hands in prayer, lower down over that front leg and keep hips square. You'll begin to really feel this nice stretch in the right front hamstring. Bend the knee as much as you need to. Get those prayer hands, the blades of the pinkies down on the mat, or let the hands separate. Either way. Final expression, head to knee. Achieve this by tucking your chin to your chest and bending at the knee to get it to touch the forehead. Change, inhale, come on up. Just take that whole body of yours and shift it over to the other side now. Hands in prayer, switch the cross of which thumb is on top. Pull the belly in. You know, not only does it look a little better to have a belly pulled in, the main reason that we do this is that a belly that's pulled in towards the spine opens you up in the back side to allow for a further deeper bend and less lower back pain. So that's really, when I say pull the belly in, it's not so much for aesthetics, it's to protect the lower back and creates more space for it. So go ahead and think of pulling that belly in as we fold over the front left leg. Hamstring stretch. I'm going to grab these blocks and actually just come to my blocks on this side particularly because it's tighter than the other. And here I've gone, instead of prayer hands pressing down to the mat, I'm just going to keep them up and lifted on my blocks, and they're separated about hip width as well. And then bend and straighten that front knee as you need to really feel what kind of adjustments you can make and where it affects the stretch that you feel in that front leg, left hamstring this time. Head to knee, pull the belly in, tuck the chin to the chest. Bend the knee as much as you need to get forehead there. And change. Wow, that felt awesome. Come on up. Bring everything together at the top of the mat, feet together, arms raised, and now exhale, let it all go. Okay. I see a lot of comments coming in. I'll check them after this last standing posture tree pose. I hope these are not some comments like the ones I was getting the other day, eggplants and things like that. I hope these are yoga related. Okay, we're headed into tree. So let's do the opposite day with tree as well. We're gonna ground down on the right foot. So look down at that right foot and see that your toes are spread, that you feel the weight distributed evenly across your foot, and then windshield wiper open at the left hip, open up at the knee. I talked about vinyasa tree last time. I'm going to go into more of a traditional Bikram this time. So same idea into getting to either one. Hip is open. That allows you to bring the foot up as high as you want, whether that is at the ankle, the calf, the inner thigh, skipping the knee. And here's where we move into the traditional Bikram tree. I'm going to take the opposite hand here and just hold my foot with it and bring it all the way up to the hip crease, as long as I can balance on that right foot. So with foot in hip crease, held in place by my hands, then I allow gravity to let that knee drop down. So foot is at hip crease, knee comes down, and then press the foot against the hip crease, and that allows me to bring my hands up and into prayer hands at my chest. So here's your Bikram tree. Wherever you are in tree, we're going to just pause for a moment and take a breath. Beautiful. Change. Let it go. Let that leg go. You may swing it out and around. Thank it for the work it just did there. And we move into tree on the other side. So left foot is grounded. Toes are spread. Windshield wiper the hip. I injured my knee on this side of my body actually doing this posture, only doing it upside down, if that makes any sense, and headstand. So we'll see how far I can go today. It's been over a year since that injury, and I still don't have full mobility. So find your tree. Again, if you want to try the Bikram, just hold on to that foot with your hands here. Find its resting spot in the hip crease. Let gravity bring the knee down. And for example, on this side, I've gotten a lot of mobility back, but I still feel like I need to hang on with one hand and just bring the other up. So I'm hanging on to right foot with my left hand, bring right hand up. Let's take a breath here. Okay, change. Wow, that felt awesome. Let that go. I feel it in my knee. That injury feels like it just is opening up for me. So let it go. Lie down on your backs for Shavasana. I'm going to check comments. It's great to have so many people on this morning. Oh, hey, Adonia's here. Yay. Yeah, snap, crackle, pop. All right, awesome to have you guys. Great, yeah, so lie down on your back for Shavasana. If you can't lie down on your back because you're just watching, at least take some deep breaths with us in Shavasana. Shavasana translates to many death, and in the same way that we cultivate the stillness that we find in Tadasana when we're standing, we do the same thing with Shavasana while we're laying down. So that's a little story for that. Okay, so lying down on your back, palms face the ceiling. Nice deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. All right, let's go opposite day here. I usually tell you to inhale right leg up for wind removing pose. Let's inhale left knee up for wind removing pose on the left. Feel that knee come in towards your chest and then slide down towards the armpit and take hold of your lower leg with your hands, either up kind of tucked under your knee or slide them down, find your ankle, whatever works for you. Pull in that knee towards the armpit. Flex the right leg now and think of not only flexing the foot and turning on the calf, but even all the way up to the glute, where the glutes are touching the mat, and turn those on so that you can open up that right psoas and pull the left one in. The more you pull down towards your armpit and side body, the more you feel a pinching in the left hip crease, which is a good thing to feel that pinch temporarily. Just notice where that hip crease is, pull it in, now let it go. And move to the other side. Inhale, right knee up towards the chest, and on an exhale, start to coax it down towards the right armpit. Find your grip either with your hands along your leg or ankle, or sometimes I like to really wrap my forearm around my shin, pull in and down. Feel that pinching now on the right hip crease as the left turns on. Flex foot, turn on your calf, feel your glutes. Touch the mat and open up on the left psoas. Change, let that right knee go. Inhale, both knees up. And you can rock and roll a little back and forth on your spine if it feels good. Up and down, or you can go back and forth from side to side, which gives a nice massage on the lower back and all the way into the hip creases on the side. Holy cow, I just got a few more pops. Oh, there's another. All right. So yeah. Get all that going. Here's the thing though in this posture. With both knees pulled towards the chest, ultimately what we really want to do is have the entire length of the spine. It's kind of impossible. I haven't really seen anyone, I think, to be able to handle this in real life. But in theory, think of the entire length of the spine from tailbone to the top point of your neck, all being flat on the ground and long. And you can get there or get to your mind's eye there by really feeling the hips heavy first, heavy hips. Into the mat, pull the belly in, which will lengthen that spine behind the belly and the lower back. Feel it along your shoulder blades, and as you travel up your spine, think of tucking your chin to your chest while you still keep the back of your head on your mat, and that lengthens that upper cervical spine. So all of that is long, and then when you've gotten there, vertebrae by vertebrae, pull those knees in towards the chest with your arms. Take a breath here. Really pull, pull, pull. Turn everything on. Use that muscle in your arms and then let it go. Legs down. Shavasana, palms up. Take a breath. Okay, we're headed into yoga sit-up. If you want to skip the sit-up, turn around and do a push-up if you want, or just skip altogether and turn around on your bellies. Otherwise, inhale, hands overhead to prepare for the sit-up. Hook the thumbs. Exhale, 2 audible breaths. Sit up. Touch the toes after completing that sit-up, which gives you a little mini hamstring stretch every time we do it. And then come around on your belly. We are all on our bellies now for Cobra. Spread your fingers wide apart and place them under your shoulders. And if your elbows have opened up outside you, pull them back in. Think of a string that keeps those elbows connected and pulled together through Cobra. Zip up your Cobra tail, beginning at the ankles, all up the calves, the inner thighs. Touch nose or chin or forehead to the mat, and then inhale, slowly peel your upper body off the mat, using lower back strength. So do not push with your hands. Use your lower back to lift you off the mat. Upper body, tail is strong, Cobra tail is strong. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, elbows in, lift a little higher, and change. Drop down onto your left cheek for belly down Shavasana. Palms are flipped up, turned towards the ceiling. Take a breath here. And then we're going to flip the palms so that they're down on the mat. Roll on the hips from side to side like you're bumping a volleyball underneath your hips. Turn your chin so that it's on the mat. Gaze is straight forward, and keep your chin on the mat through these next 2 parts to protect the neck. Let the left leg totally relax. Lift the right leg off the mat. Feel your hip bones press into your forearms. Right leg lengthens long and lifts high and is turned on all the way through pointed toes. Lift, lift, lift. Change. Let the right leg relax down and turn that left leg on. So notice hip bones press into the forearms as that left leg lifts and then lengthens and lifts again. Left leg now turned on straight, activated through the toes. The right leg is relaxed. Lift, lengthen, change, let it go. Now we're going to move from the chin on the mat to the mouth. So kiss the mat with your mouth and keep it tucked down there to protect the neck. Scoot your fingers down towards your knees as much as possible. Press into the mat with your palms. Keep legs straight and together and lift both legs off the mat. Press the hip bones into the forearms. Begin. And change. Let it go. Bring the hands out. Lay down on your right cheek for belly down Shavasana. Palms to the ceiling, and just take a deep breath here. Okay, let's move into full locust. So zip up that cobra tail, bring your arms to the outside of your shoulders, straight out from your shoulders like airplane wings, chin on the mat. So strong tail, prepare here, chin on the mat, and then inhale, everything lifts off the mat, feet, legs, arms, chest, everything but really your hip bones are what you feel. Connect with the mat as you lift the upper body, lift the legs. Lift the upper body, lift the legs, 747 in flight here, and change, lower, drop it all down, left cheek to mat, belly down Shavasana, take a breath. And moving into the peak posture that the three before it really prepped us for, we're going into floor bow. So still on your belly, bend to the knees, bring these legs together like that cobra tail, but bend to the knees here. If you're still working on the bind and you cannot grasp your feet with your hands, just think of being on your belly, lifting your ankles off the floor and lifting your chest off the floor. That's really what sets the foundation for what we take further when we bind, by grabbing the outside of your feet or ankles with your hands. Breathe here, find that connection. Remember your hip bones and pelvis pressing into that mat. And then inhale and lift, kick feet into hands. Lift your thighs off the mat. Try to keep knees together to begin. They will separate a bit as you lift. Make a teardrop shape coming from the ceiling with your fingers and your feet. And then lift that chest. Eventually maybe roll towards the upper belly to even get hips off the mat. Relax the neck, shake it out. Don't let the shoulders squeeze up by the neck. And change. Let those legs drop. Turn down right cheek for belly down Shavasana. Take a nice deep breath. Press hands under shoulders here. We're going to push up this time. So push up into plank and walk your knees forward to the front of the mat. So I'm just checking time. 5 minutes after the hour, we still have another 10 or 15 minutes to go. So we are going to go over this morning. I know so many of my subscribers are teachers and a lot of you are already out of school. We still have 2 more weeks. But anyhow, if you have to hop off, I totally understand. And thanks for your patience on the timing issue today. Okay, so we're on our knees in the front of the mat. We're just going to move into fixed fern by having knees together here, opening the heels up enough that you can fit your hips between your legs. If you already know ahead of time that you need to make a connection with under your tailbone by using a block, pillow, or blanket, set that up between your feet. And then with knees together or separate a bit, as we talked about for any ankle issues. Also, if this is hard on your knees, have a blanket under your knees if you don't have enough padding through a mat or your knees themselves. And then go ahead and just lower down, hips between heels, connect with whatever you've set up for yourself, but you do want some kind of connection under your tailbone there. So find fixed fern. I often need to move the tissue of my calves, external rotation for my calves out from under me to really sit more deeply and comfortably down. So find your fixed fern here. And if you like to take it further, you can come back on elbows, connect to the fingertips with the feet and come down on elbows or lower all the way down flat on your back. This is where my own teacher has encouraged me to let my knees open a bit. And then final expression is hanging onto opposite elbows overhead. So just take a breath wherever you are. This is major ankle opener. I also feel it in the tops of my feet, my ankles, my knees. And then to come out safely, turn on the core first and foremost and always. And then press those hands into the feet again as you came out, really the same way you went in. Come up over top your knees and turn around to lie down on your backs for Shavasana. We'll take some nice deep breaths here together. Okay, so lie down on your back. Really feel yourself get heavy. Feel your limbs just go heavy, kind of floppy, not engaged, the opposite of all the work we do. Take a breath. Inhale, arms overhead now for that sit up. Hook the thumbs. Exhale, sit up. Come around, touch the toes. And come to the back of the mat for half tortoise. So sitting back, sit back, hips on heels, knees together. Nice straight spine here. Inhale, arms overhead. Make that prayer grip with your hands. So hands in prayer with one thumb crossed over the other. Strong in the arms, biceps, frame the ears. But remember, just like the standing postures, when I say that, also be mindful that you aren't having your shoulders lifted really high by your ears. Let them slide. It's a external and downward rotation of shoulder blades sliding down your back, even with arms engaged. So use your core, nice strong core here to slowly lower yourself down. The goal being eventually that you want your forehead or nose to touch the mat before the blades of your pinkies. Hips heavy on your heels and press the blades of your hands, the outside pinkies, into the mat to lift forearms, stretch armpits. Let the hips be heavy to feel that stretch even along your lower spine. And change, use your core strength as you lift back your head, lower the arms, turn around, lie down on your back for Shavasana. Take a nice deep breath here. And exhale all that air out. Now we'll inhale together, arms overhead, prepare for sit up. Exhale, sit up. Come around, touch the toes for that extra hamstring stretch every time. Come around to the top of your mat for camel. Knees are separated, hip width apart in camel. I'm going to take a block and tuck it between and press into that block with my inner thighs. Not only does that help strengthen them, but it also stabilizes the knees. Your heels are directly behind your knees, parallel to one another, and your thighs are parallel to one another. So inhale, lift the chest, do that external and downward rotation of your shoulder blades that helps you put your hands in your back pocket. And that string that pulls your elbows together is pulling your elbows together as you lift the chest and push hips forward. Lift the chest, push hips forward. And here again, have a blanket under your knees or your ankles if this is not comfortable in those joints. Push the hips forward, lift the chest, and we head into a back bend. If it's comfortable to let your neck go in the back bend, do so. Look at that back wall. And finally, if you can maintain a bit of a lift without crunching your lower back completely, press those hips forward, reach back for your heels. Inner thighs squeezing together, whether you have a block between your legs or not. And change. Inhale, come up with a strong core. Go ahead and sink back a bit. Sometimes you get lightheaded in that posture in particular. So take your on your back and lie down in Shavasana. Take a nice deep breath in Shavasana. This is corpse pose, many death. And then we energize all over again by inhale, arms up, hook the thumbs, exhale. 2 audible breaths. As you exhale, come up, touch the toes. Come around to the back for half tortoise. So just like before, I'm sorry, this is rabbit. So just like before for half tortoise in rabbit, we're sitting back, hips on the heels, knees together. Find your heels with your hands because you're gonna, as you fold over, we'll really grip on those heels with your hands. And we're gonna begin this fold with the chin, and it's gonna be a complete rounding of the spine, a really mindful rounding, which is the opposite of the straight spine that we keep when we do a hip hinge. So no hinging at the hips this time. We're gonna start with the chin. Tuck the chin, pull the belly in, which, as I explained before, really opens up room in that spine to round down, beginning cervical spine, thoracic spine in the middle, finally lumbar spine rounds down. Your forehead can graze your knees as the crown of your head reaches the mat. Grip those heels and pull on that grip of your hands with your heels, again, while keeping shoulders away from the ears. So if your shoulders are shrugged up your ears, pull them back and down. And if the crown of your head is on the mat, walk your knees a bit towards it and lift those hips. Not a lot of weight on the crown of your head. You counter that weight with the grip. Hips high, spine rounded, chin tucked, belly in. And change. Come on out the same way you came in, which is to say your chin is last to lift, and then lie down on your back for Shavasana. Breathe here. Okay, inhale, arms up for that yoga sit up. Exhale, sit up. Touch the toes. I'm gonna take a quick drink of water. We're gonna turn around and face the front for separate leg stretching. Seated separate leg stretching. Okay, left leg out straight first. Right leg tucked in. Whichever leg you have out, make sure you're centered over your hips so that both sit bones are equally connecting with the mat. And this is really a different pose for everyone. So if it's enough to be here with one leg out, just be here. If you'd like to inhale, find length, exhale, twist, and stay right there, feel free. You can also use that exhale and twist to lower down, leading with the chest towards the knee, and knee might need to be really bent to reach the chest towards knee. Onto the toes. Feel that gravity bring the other knee down. And then as I've shown some of you before in other streams, you can open up by lifting the chest towards the ceiling, and this creates more of a side and back body stretch along the right. And you can make it dynamic by folding again and just using your breath. So find what works for you here. I'm gonna play as well. And yeah, just breathe no matter where you are. All the cues are the basics are always the same. Breathe, pull the belly in, drop the shoulders away from the ears. Okay, great. Come on out of that as you're ready, and we'll move on to the other side. Right leg is out, left knee in, center on those hips. Stay right here. Just move through each phase at a time and move in a way that feels good and works for you. So if you keep moving, we'll inhale up, exhale, twist, lower with the chest. If you want to bring belly to thighs, always bend the knee as much as you need. Okay, and we'll come on out of that. It's feeling really good today. So bring both legs out in front of you, just straight in front, and stay right here. Just work on sitting equally on both sit bones with legs straight. If you want to keep going into a fold, inhale, lift at the waist, which creates that extra little room in the hip crease. Bend the knees as much as you need and lead with the chest to lower belly onto thighs. This is really the same movements we use when we're doing a standing forward fold. So imagine standing on your feet right now. You might bring the toes back towards your face. And just breathe. Breathe, belly in, shoulders away from the ears. You know the drill. Okay, change, come on up. Move into final spinal. Let's go opposite. So normally we cross right on top of left. We're gonna cross left on top of right. Keep that bottom right leg straight if you need to. And press the left foot into the mat. And just find a comfortable position for your legs in a twist. Sit bones, just like the last posture, both equally on the ground. We'll inhale and find length and lift in the chest. Exhale, twist over the left leg. Use the left arm behind you as a kickstand and try to find some connection with your right arm, hooking elbow to knee or holding onto the knee with the hands, holding onto the bottom foot with the hands, whatever works for a twist here. Shake the head out to make sure you're not holding tension. Nod it yes or shake it no. And then change it out. We'll let that go. Cross right leg over left this time. You have the goal of having the knees stacked over one another. Press that right foot into the mat. Inhale, find length. Exhale, twist. Notice whether or not one side is tighter than the other. I'm noticing. Anyway, back, hand and arm can be back behind you as a kickstand. The left arm is connecting with the right knee in some way, whether that's hand to knee, elbow to knee, hand to foot. Okay, great, let that go. So we're ready for breath of fire here. Just take a sip of water if you want. Work on some breathing exercise. Find a comfortable seated position. Take a few practice rounds if you want by bringing your hands to your belly. Let your belly just go really soft for a moment. Feel that, and then feel what it is like to snap it in quickly. Snapping your belly in, and then we're going to add that to an exhale breath. So at the snap into the belly, we exhale. Practice that a few times. And then let your hands relax comfortably, shoulders dropped away from the ears. In fact, do a nice neck stretch here by just dropping one ear to one shoulder at a time. Move to the other side. Take a deep breath. Let's just do a nice inhale and exhale together here. Exhale, let all that air go. Inhale halfway and begin. Five, four, three, two, one. Let that all go. Great. That was that. That was your 26 postures this morning. Even though, according to the clock, we're behind time, that went really fast and was a nice, strong practice. So thanks for joining me. Let's do 2 minutes of Shavasana. If you are able to allow yourself an even longer Shavasana, feel free to stay in it. But we're going to do 2 minutes here. Let everything go. Just take some breaths. Notice the sounds and sights and smells around you, but in a way that you're detached and just able to breathe and let your mind wander and just sink heavy physically into the mat before we bring awareness back and close our practice. So take a last sip if you need to. We're going to cool down a bit. So if you even want to cover up with an extra layer of clothing or that blanket you used before, go ahead, just be comfortable. Settle in. Down on your backs, let your eyes close here. Make any micro adjustments you need to be comfortable and still in the next 2 minutes. Don't worry about the clock. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. This is a first for Betty, but this is very, very sweet and comfortable and my favorite Shavasana ever. If you don't have a cat resting on your belly and chest right now, pretend that there is one. Okay, my fellow yogis, as much as I hate to call it, it's already been 2 minutes. It goes so fast. So many times people think, oh, I don't have the 2 minutes to spare for Shavasana after they've already worked in a 60-minute class, but it goes so fast and it's the most important posture of the practice. So thanks for doing it with me. I hate to interrupt Betty here, but I will. We gotta say goodbye. So yeah, move forward with the rest of your week. Happy hump day. And I'll be back Friday morning for Vinyasa yoga. Slightly different style, a little more free flowing. Goodbye. We love you here in California. I'll see you on Friday.